Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, Candi CWall Waller, checking in as I do all throughout the NFL season. And I know if you're tuned into this live, you're probably thinking a few different things. You're probably initially saying to yourself, she said last week she was not doing any more lives. The lives are during the season. The season is over. So therefore, there's no more lives. She said she would check in, but however, she also said she wasn't doing any more lives. And I did say that. If you were thinking Candi absolutely said she was not doing any more lives, you are absolutely correct. But as I was preparing to record a show, I literally said to myself, hey, Josh Harris, managing partner Josh Harris, had a press conference today. And there are some things I'm going to talk about. If I'm going to go ahead and record during this time, I may as well go live during this time. And everyone can still watch the replay of the live later, right? Or you could absolutely be watching it on Bowie television, which you can find on Verizon Channel 11 and Comcast Xfinity Channel 77. If you are in Bowie, Maryland, or the surrounding areas in the community, you absolutely get the channel if you have not cut your cable. So, yes, I absolutely said I wasn't going to do a live, but here I am. Sometimes minds change. And mine's absolutely changed. So if you are watching from Facebook, make sure you share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Hit that love button, drop a fire emoji so that I know you are watching and I can try to acknowledge as many folks as I can. If you are watching through the Bowie TV YouTube stream, hello, hello, hello to you. Thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed, hit the notification, hit the bell so you get all of the content. And you all know, say hello to Mama and Papa Waller because they're absolutely always watching. And as like I said, she popped in and Mazdak gets it. He already said hello to them. You got it already. Just pop in. And as I was going live, I saw that soon to be former LA Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp has broken his own news and said that, the team is going to trade him. So there's that. That's how we're going to get started. All right, this is how we're going to get started with this conversation. So we see many of Washington Commanders fans. I see Taylor Pinkney. I see the Not Bland show with DJ Bland, James Dallas. You all come on in. I know. I said I wasn't going to do a live, but hey, Washington Commanders managing partner Josh Harris had an end of season press conference. And I think it was full of very important points that I want to share with all of you all. You know, I do my segments and tell you to bring out your notepad and your pen. Make sure you're using your clues. So this is full of important points in conversation. So I absolutely want to ensure that you all are dialed in. Now, if we could do just a recap, shall we, of all the things that have transpired just in the last week. Okay, and tell me how you're feeling about all these things. Love button, fire emoji, all the things. Washington Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury is staying in Washington. All right, I definitely want to know your thoughts on this. There was so much conversation around it, and on this show and others as well, I was very clear. Listen, if we're using our clues, and as Dan Quinn says, watching, paying attention to the tea leaves, Coach Kingsbury was very clear. He was not going to entertain any of the conversation around another team, that it was going to take his distraction, it was going to be a distraction for him or take him away from focusing on the season. Cliff is staying. So let's see. I I thank you to Erias Wright with acknowledging you said, and we all knew a good season would dead that name change conversation. And so we kind of already knew, right? That the answer was there, right? And then you have to actually say to yourself, where else are you going to go? So much of this depends on, and we're going to bring up this topic later, so much of where you land, because anything could happen in the NFL season. And thank you, Erias, for remembering and using your clues and pulling that receipt of what I said a long time ago, all right, about the name change and why the conversation around it should be ended. But so much of where you go, what you do, it centers around quarterback. It truly centers around your quarterback. Love button, fire emoji, somebody. I do believe the Washington Commanders have their guy at quarterback. I do think that, right? That has been figured out. So when you have a quarterback in pieces, right, and you see the kind of success that this organization has seen in one full year, just one full year of being together, kind of hard to walk away from that, right? It's quite hard to walk away from that. And so I want to continue to share those things with you all. We're going to pull receipts because it's important to pull receipts. And like I said, we had a press conference today with managing partner Josh Harris. Josh Harris has been clear. He's been clear for a long time. I don't think people wanted to really grasp it, but you want to stay locked into this show because I'm going to share with you the biggest receipt, in my opinion, the top of the line, top tier. If you didn't believe the managing partner and majority owner, Josh Harris, when he said the name wasn't going to change, I'm going to give you the ultimate clue when you should have known the name wasn't going anywhere. But until we get there, Coach Kingsbury is staying in Washington. Here was something else that I think is a very, very important point. You saw that the Commanders did, in fact, block an interview of assistant quarterbacks coach David Blau. He's staying in Washington. We are continuously seeing, hey, people are staying in Washington. Okay. Love button, fire emoji. If you are really, really feeling the fact that the storyline is people want to play in Washington, they want to coach in Washington. Washington is a hot spot to be in, and it is for several different reasons. With that being said, let's get on into the Josh Harris end of season press conference, full of use your clues. And when I share with you all the biggest receipt, okay, for some reason you didn't believe Josh Harris when he told you a year ago they weren't changing the name, okay? But hey, this is why we all come together to have these conversations. All right. While I play these clips, you all know the drill. Drop in the chat your thoughts on what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're sensing in what is being shared on the clip. So let's go ahead and start with Josh Harris's opening statement to the media.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Really excited to be here. Before we talk football, I just want to acknowledge the terrible tragedies that have occurred here in the D.C. area and then obviously in Philly, and the loss of life. And my heart and the hearts of all of us here at the Commanders go out to the souls that were lost and their families. And then I just want to say thank you to the first responders who are helping really deal with this situation. So just take a moment. Now let's talk football. And by the way, Bobby, good to see you. Doug, thank you for being here. I'm honored. So first of all, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I wish we were in New Orleans. But that aside, I mean, obviously I couldn't be prouder of the team, the players, the fans, the coaching staff, front office. And so I just want to say thank you to Adam Peters and his staff for what you did, Coach Quinn and Dan, your staff. And then obviously it's a testament to your leadership, the culture that we built and where we ended up. NFC championship game, first time since 1991. And obviously acknowledge the players, Bobby, but also all the players, just showed up. It was a new situation, and you guys killed it. And so just mentioning the captain, Zach, Terry, Jeremy, Bobby, and obviously Jaden and what he did. And lastly, I wanted to say on behalf of our ownership group, thank you, DMV. We couldn't have done it without you. You showed up, and thank you to our community of fans. I mean, I couldn't believe when I was out. I went to every game, and I'd see Commanders fans and faithful everywhere I went, and it just grew and grew and grew. And I can't tell you how much it means to all of us here, the team, to feel supported when they go to war, when we go to war, knowing that the fans are on our corner, it means a lot to us. So with that, future is bright, and I'll open it up to questions.
All right, so let's go ahead and if you use your clues, do you have your notebook in your pen in your paper? All right, as I already saw, I acknowledge one of the comments that came through, and I'll go back through because someone already has won. Whether or not they realized it, they got it. The tea leaves, the use your clues that I'm like, you should have known they weren't changing this name. And we're going to get there in a moment with the Commander's Standard, which I shared that with you all and said, this is a big deal. Make sure you all are paying attention. Love button, fire emoji. If you remember when I shared the question, I asked Terry and how he went into depth answering that question. We'll get into that in a moment. And I also want to acknowledge this from Rachel, my sister here, who just starting off the presser with acknowledging the lives lost last week. I've been on site for long enough to know that the previous owner would have never even spoken to us as much as Josh Harris and the rest of the ownership group does. So I can tell you, and you all can feel that love and feel that engagement. At least I hope you all do from the current group. You probably heard him say hello to Bobby and to Doug. And so, yes, Bobby Wagner was in attendance at the press conference. No, he didn't say anything, but he wanted to attend, and Doug Williams was there as well. I think that is a very, very, very important point in terms of who was in the room for this presser. Love button and fire emoji if you're following me along here, because we're going to get to the Commander Standard. And let's go ahead and jump right on into the name. Make sure you still have time to share this link with the Washington Commanders loving family and friends. This is the live version of the Washington Commanders update. You're watching a Bowie television live recording. If you're watching on TV, you can always catch the live, but hey, I'm happy that you're watching this on TV and getting to see all the comments pop up on the television screen. Let's go right on into the name, because ESPN's John Keim went straight into it, so we're going to go straight into it here.
Over here, John Keim, ESPN. So may as well get this one out of the way first. It's become a topic again, but what plans, if any, do you have with rebranding, whether it's name, jersey, and how does winning impact how you view that situation?
Yeah, so just to hit the name first, we're focused on, we're back to saying, what we said all last year, which was focused on winning football games, on getting prepared for next year, on fixing up Ashburn and the stadium. We could talk about that. And then on engaging with the community of Washington. And so right now, and now in this building, the name Commanders means something. It means that it's about players who are love football, are great at football, hit hard, mentally tough, great teammates, and so it's really meaningful that that name is growing in meaning. And so, but as far as rebranding and bringing our past, which obviously I grew up with, and all the Super Bowl championships and our future together, you're going to see us head back towards, honoring our past and bringing it together with our future.
He said it again. And in case you didn't hear him, he was asked again to be clear on if the name was coming back.
Josh, Steve Weiner from the Associated Press. Following up on John's question earlier, is it safe to say the Commander's name is around just to stay? Is that safe to say from your standpoint?
Yes. And we're actually, I think it's now being embraced by our team, by our culture, by our coaching staff. And so, we're going with that.
Are you okay now? Does everybody have the answer to that question now? And I want to acknowledge Lamar Bland's comment because he used his clues immediately when he heard Josh Harris say the name means something. Okay, here's another comment that says they created a document of accountability called the Commander Standard. Right? So we heard Josh Harris say this a year ago, everybody. He said it, right? And then the team started to share early on last year about the Commander's Standard. And I asked about it last year. Love button, fire emoji, if you remember that. In leading up to the NFC Championship, I asked you all's favorite wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, about the Commander's Standard. Okay, so I'm going to replay this because there's not a receipt that I miss. Okay, so we done played this. I don't know how many times. Don't ask when y'all see me. Don't ask me because people still ask me they changed the name. No, for what? And what I end up telling people, and if I'm being very honest, what I tell people is Jaden Daniels is a Washington Commander. Do you like Jaden Daniels? Do you think he's done a good job? He's done that as a Washington Commander. Okay? Let it go. With that being said, let's go back to Terry McLaurin's explanation of the Commander's Standard.
Terry, and so kind of along that same lines, very early on in the season, I think even back to OTAs, you all established something called the Commander Standard.
Yeah.
And so how has that played a factor, that words into action, into where you are right now?
That's it's a code we live by, It's something that came up in our early part of our season in the spring, and DQ put it into the leaders' hands and told us to come up with something that you could call it a code, a creed, a saint, whatever you want to call it. It's something that we all live by, that we all sign, that we all, no matter if you've been here for 6 years, or you just came in off of free agency or practice squad, whatever. This is the code that you live by as a commander. And when you hold a standard and you put it in writing, you sign your name to it, you hold yourself accountable to that. And not only you hold yourself accountable to that, the other guys in the locker room are going to hold you accountable to that. And it's really cool to be able to see the words that we put down, and you look at what we wrote back in, what was it, April, March, whenever we wrote it early in the spring, and we're now here in January, and you see all the things that we wrote on that piece of paper are coming to life, and it's the way of life that we approach each and every day coming through the building. So it was cool to be able to come up with something from scratch with a group of guys who didn't really know each other much before this season, but We had a goal of being different and being uncommon than anything this place has ever seen. And for us to put that down on paper and then live by it, anybody can come up here and see all these sayings. Like, we can say anybody, anytime, anywhere, but if you don't live it, like, it doesn't really mean nothing. And I think we got a group of people who want to live the words that we're speaking. And that's why I'm big on, being who you say you are. And doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to fall short. But if you say you're a dog or a competitor, you have to be that. You can't pick and choose when you're whatever you say you are. And so that commander standard is non-negotiable. And the great thing about it is there hasn't been any issues and hiccups with it because that's the culture that we created here. And so going forward, that's who we are. And so whoever comes in here, that's what you hold your standard to. And that's the great thing about a culture, because before that, sometimes anything goes. Like, it's sometimes hard to keep guys accountable. But when you have one sound, one standard, and everybody's holding accountable to it, you got no choice but to live up to that standard and uphold that, because if you don't, you stick out like a sore thumb, and you got to buy in. So it's not a threat. We take that with great pride, because we built that from the ground up, and we're looking forward to building on that.
Now, listen, since you all didn't necessarily want to listen to me when I told you the game wasn't coming back, when you did, and it's okay. I've learned not to be offended when you all don't want to listen to me. I'm there all the time, but you don't want to listen to me. That's okay. I'm going to come with the receipts. And I also want to say this, and I've put up some of the comments from the chat. When you really hear the process that the team went through in creating that standard as a collective, right? And the end of that, with Terry sharing with me with the question being, if you don't follow it, you stick out like a sore thumb, right? This is something that they created together, that they have bought into together. And if you can't get behind that, you can call it whatever you want. You all calling it this is what you all are bought into. That's the mark of an organization and a culture that is serious about all of the details that they put on that paper. Right? It is something that matters. And you all know, some of you have talked in previous episodes about my background and what I'm passionate about and things. And so those are the things that I pay attention to. And I didn't want that to get lost, right? Because that was something that we were asking them about and we're talking to them about back in OTAs and training camp. And it just kind of goes away. People kind of forget about it, right? Because now you're into the season. But what am I known for? One of the things that I'm known for is using your clues and keeping receipts. And I'm like, what was in that commander standard is how they are operating. And we all saw it on the football field, because we've seen a different result on that football field. We've seen a different look on that football field. And I think we can all agree that we saw some good, solid football all season long. With that being said, let's continue on. And I see this question here. I see questions are coming in. And so I want to acknowledge those questions as much as I can, but we're going to keep going through some of the things that I felt like were some use your clues moments in Josh Harris's press conference. Let's move on, shall we?
And how does this season and the winning impact how aggressive you may want to see the organization be when it comes to free agency and other moves this offseason?
Look, we're looking for commanders, and whether it be free agency, trades, draft, and obviously we have a lot of cap flexibility. We have a full slate of draft picks. Certainly we're going to be talking to other teams where we can find players that are great at what they do and fit our culture and are great teammates and are situationally aware and hit hard and are tough. Like we're gonna get them to come. And so, we're totally focused on improving our team from last year. And I think we're going to do that.
So let's all be very clear about something. Love button, fire emoji. If you have seen in just this year that this team, this leadership team, certainly is very direct in their message. Okay, very direct in their message. You can believe, you can take it to the bank what they say. And I don't think Josh Harris minced any of his words. I certainly don't. Now, if you all know, videographer and photographer from Bowie TV, Darrell Owens Sr., tag Darrell in this, because Darrell will tell you all, it's probably, I don't know, because all the days are running together. Maybe it was 2 or so months ago. I was sitting there and I said, who would be really, really good? Myles Garrett. Literally what I said. I said, Myles Garrett, how much? I asked Terrell, I said, let's go check. How much he got left? What's left on that contract of his? Because I'm not saying that I know something, but I will say that if I'm using my own clues and I'm paying attention to my own tea leaves, Myles Garrett is going to end up asking for a trade. And I don't think he would mind coming to Washington if it worked out. Here's what really got me. Then, that was just before, right? This is just before. Then, it was a known thing that Myles Garrett wanted to have conversations with the front office and understanding. This goes back to something I said at the beginning of the episode. He wanted to know what they were going to do about the quarterback. Yep. Okay. Oh, I said, he got questions about the quarterback. He's going to ask for a trade because they don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. Okay. They don't have an answer for that. Not in Cleveland. Not right now. But the Commanders have an answer. And everybody sees the answer. Right? So I'm literally on my way to Ashburn today. And what drops? Oh, Myles Garrett has asked for a trade. Well, would you look at that? Now, for some reason, a few weeks ago, Cleveland's GM already said, we're not trading him. I'm sure you're not. But whatever made you feel like you had to say something, not real sure about it. Okay, but what this says, as a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl, and that goal fuels me today more than ever. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. These past 8 years have shaped me into the man that I am today. While I've loved calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns. I can move on to the next clip. Okay. But I thought it was very important for you all to hear from the managing partner, majority owner, what he said in terms of what they're looking for. He made it very clear about free agency. He made it very clear about trades. He made it very clear. He did talk about the draft, but he talked about the money they got in cap space too. With that being said, I'll also mention that Cooper Kupp has now broken his own news. I said this at the top of the episode. He broke his own news saying that the Rams have informed him that he will be traded. Now, this isn't an NBA show, but you all know I follow the NBA. But I spend most of my time, and really, quite frankly, all of my time here, recently with the Washington Commanders. But is this trade season or what? Anyway, anyway, anyway. You use your own clues on that one while we move on to the next clip. Love button, fire emoji if you are following me in this live Bowie television recording of the Washington Commanders update. I am your host, Candi CWall Waller. I know I said I wasn't going to do any more lives. I said I'm not doing any more lives. It's not during the season. But this Josh Harris end of season press conference, there was a lot there. And you know me, I have to come in, swoop in to help. And I didn't want you all to miss these very important points. I didn't. I definitely did not want you all to miss these things. These are very important points that you all need to get. Let's move on to the next clip.
And obviously, the way the season unfolded, getting all the way to NFC Championship game, you've said, hey, this is pretty obviously great, but also a bit surprising. You can tell us now, what were your realistic expectations going into this last year about what you guys thought you would actually do?
Look, I knew we were going to go to. No, I'd say I predicted. No, look. Obviously, the season came out amazing and better than anyone expected, and no one could have sat where we were all sitting at the beginning of the season, where we had entirely, for the most part, a new coaching staff, a new front office. More than half the players were changed, but obviously, credit to Adam and Dan and their staffs for bringing everyone together, and credit to the players for making it happen on the field. And so, look, we got it. We've arrived, and that changes expectations. And I've lived through this before, and we welcome it. And we're just going to work harder and to create a situation where next year we win.
What did everybody catch that? Do I need to play the clip again? Let me know if you missed it. Let me know if you started scrolling and you missed it. Creating a situation where we win is what Josh Harris said. Understanding where they are. Look, all I'm saying is, and y'all know I get into all I'm saying is, when I come to you all and say, hey, I want y'all to pay attention to what's happening here. Don't miss this. Don't you miss this. Whatever you do, don't miss that point. It's a very, very important point. And if it's one thing the Commanders have shown, at least in this first year, we now understand the Commander standard. Everybody gets that now. We all know that. You know what they're operating toward. They get it. And like Terry McLaurin told me, it's non-negotiable. That's what it is. But another thing that we've seen this team do is make a trade. They don't mind making a trade. And let's just go ahead. Everybody, love button, fire emoji. Congratulations to Jahan Dotson. He's going to the Super Bowl, Congratulations to Jahan. All breakups aren't bad. All trades aren't bad. You got to do what's best for everybody. That's in life. That's a breakup. It is what it is, and congratulations to him as he moves on to try to win a Super Bowl or something. That's good stuff for Jahan. But going back to the Commanders, we saw them make 3 trades. They traded Jahan Dotson. They traded John Ridgeway. They traded for Marshawn Lattimore. We saw this team. I'm pulling receipts back, okay? We saw this team make 1, 2, 3 trades in a season. 2 of which came in the preseason before the season even started. Saw them make a trade at the deadline. And we saw a team that was attempting to get better along the way in who they released and brought in. So this is a team that will continuously make moves in doing whatever they believe fits that Commander standard. All right. It's a real thing. It's not just a piece of paper. With that being said, how about this? It was almost a year ago to the day, almost a year ago to the day, when the Washington Commanders announced Dan Quinn as the head coach. I'm going to play this last clip. While I'm playing this clip, you all put in the chat what you thought a year ago with the team bringing on Dan Quinn as the head coach and what you all think today. Okay, about Dan Quinn being the coach. What you were thinking last year and what you're thinking right now about Dan Quinn being the coach. Let me see what you all come up with in the chat while I play this last clip.
Hey, Jess, Scott Abraham, ABC7. Obviously, this time last year, you officially announced that Dan Quinn was going to be your head coach. So quite the 12 months for you. What are you most proud of over these 12 months?
What I'm most proud of, I mean, obviously, there's a lot, honestly, that I'm proud of. But first of all, the leadership. I think I made the right leadership choices. And, Mark Klaus now in the building, in the business. We're going to be a lead on the business side. But I really feel like, as I said to you then, my most important 3 jobs were picking a coach, picking a GM, and then picking someone to lead the business. And I feel great about where we are and the leadership we have in place. Secondly, I feel super proud, obviously, of how excited and happy the Washington community is and the reawakening of Washington football. And that's everything from like how we played on the field and, what we did on the field. And really, obviously we won 4 games last year, and to be going to the NFC Championship, how can you not be proud of that? I mean, I'm very proud of that and very appreciative of the players and everyone who was involved in that. But also, listen, I wandered around. I made it a point of meeting a lot of fans in the stadium, outside of the stadium, and people are super happy here. And, people were literally crying in bars, and, grown men, grown women, and it's really helped the happiness and the excitement. And there's very few things in the DMV that unites the whole DMV, and the Washington Commanders is like front of the list. And so that's probably the thing I feel most proud about, that people here are appreciative of Washington football again, like I felt when I was growing up. And so let's keep it going.
Love button fire emoji if hearing the majority owner managing part of the Washington Commanders just speaking so highly of the fan base, acknowledging that the energy had to be reignited. They had to be able to give fans and the Washington community a product that everybody could be proud about. Like he said, 4 games to the NFC Championship. Wow. And I don't know if you all use your clues like how I do, and I hope that you do, right? But if you've seen some of the players' captions on IG when they post pictures, some of them are saying the story's not done. They're saying the story's not finished. Very similar to job's not done yet. So, with that being said, I hope you all have enjoyed my kind of breakdown of all the things you all need to be paying attention to and needed to really highlight from Josh Harris's press conference. I really didn't want you all to miss anything on this one. I don't want you to miss any of it. And I see Darrell has popped on. Darrell, earlier I told folks to tag you because I wanted you to vouch for me. This always used. I wanted you to vouch for me about when I said to you, think Myles Garrett can ask for a trade and come to Washington. How much he got left on that contract? Let's look it up. I've been talking about Myles Garrett now for about a solid 2-3 months. Like, seriously, I'm like, I know I mentioned it. All the days are running together. I said it. Now, who knows what's going to happen? But I can tell you what I did in terms of where he ends up. But I will promise you this, like Darrell is saying, I told him, I said, he going to request a trade. I don't care what the GM says. Okay. He's going to request a trade because he's having phenomenal seasons. Right. But if it's one thing that I'm learning, even being around this group now in Ashburn, yes, they are. Josh Harris is proud. They want all those things, right? But he's made it clear we want to win. And there can only be one Super Bowl champion. There can only be one. One. And you want to be in a situation, if you are a player like a Myles Garrett, who the organization is very clear on their direction, like Darrell has in the chat, they want quarterback stability. I'm going to say it again because it was publicly reported. He was having meetings with the front office. What are you going to do about quarterback? They had no answers for him because they don't have an answer. I don't know where he's going to end up. Cooper Kupp, let me bring that back up. The team has informed him they're trading him. So he didn't ask for a trade. He was informed that he was going to be traded. Okay. So it's trade season. So listen, Darrell chimed in before I signed off because I was like, ooh, on my way to Ashburn. I almost had to pull over. Matter of fact, I did. My mom is watching. I don't want her to think that I was texting and driving or reading my phone while I was driving. So I pulled over and was like, I told y'all he was going to ask for a trade. I'm using my own clues for other people now because this is a very real thing. And listen, Bowie TV has been on the Myles Garrett case because I've been eyeing that one myself for a bit now. I've been eyeing it since week 5. I've been eyeing that since week 5. So we'll see what happens. But I didn't want you all to miss that very important point. You all, I'm hoping that you enjoyed this. Listen, and maybe I shouldn't say I'm not going to go live because who knows what I'm going to do. I told Darrell early today, oh no, I said last week I wasn't doing any more lives because, the season is over. But the end of season presser was so good and it was so rich with information and just all of the happenings. I said, no, I think I need to. And I was going to record it at this time anyway. I said, it's time, probably should go live. With that being said, because I'm live, you all turn to ABC 7. My segment with Scott Abraham airs tonight at 9:10 Eastern. I will try to record it and post it for those who missed it. But at 9:10, if you're in the area, so check that out as well. He asked me my hot take for the season, for the off season. So you might want to, we'll see what happens. But I'm kind of smiling at myself now, like, you might be getting pretty good at this. But anyway, you all, thank you. Thank you, as always, for your support of Bowie Television, for tuning in to the live recording. Again, if you're watching on the television screen, jump on in to Bowie TV's YouTube. At any given time, we're always going live with some great content on this channel. It is not just sports, folks. It's just plethora of topics and content. I really think you're going to love it. Absolutely. Really, really going to love it. This can be your go-to source in the local PG County, Maryland area for all the things, not just Washington Commanders, right? It's one of the things, but many of the information that we share is applicable to all. So with that being said, thank you all so much. And more than likely, I will be talking to you all again soon.